Oh, you're right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I think it's great everybody's participating. I have a lot of respect for people that are willing to participate where government happens, whether that be coming out to a meeting or being on a committee or running for an office, an elected office. So hats off to all of the people here or not here that are doing that. I've been in Junction City not that long, about 15 years ago. I followed my parents out here with my wife and 6 kids. We love it here. I'm happy to have served in the city council for 4 years. Not that long really, but at the same time I'm happy with some of the things we've been able to make progress on. And when it's time to run again, some people encouraged me to put my name in the ring again, and so I did. So I'm here, and I'm excited to hear what these questions are and see what we can do tonight, hear what the other people have to say. So.
Our next candidate is Ken Wells. Ken?
Hi, I'm Ken Wells, and I am running for City Council. And first of all, I would just like to say thank you to the JC candidates for putting this forum on. It's been a great way to help get points out to all the citizens of Junction City. I've had the fortunality to move out here 10 years ago, and since then I have been on both the Planning Commission and the Budget Committee, and it came to a point where I thought it was an opportunity that I could serve the citizens at the next level and become a member of the City Council. I really believe in the public being able to participate, being involved in what's going on in our city, and it works both ways because it makes them stronger, our community stronger, and our city stronger. And so, with that, thank you for the opportunity tonight.
Next up will be Karen Leach.
I'm Karen Leach. I'm running for the position of mayor. Jim and I have lived in Junction City just about 40 years. I hate to admit it's been long. We have 2 children. They have gone all through the school district here, and we love this community. I thought it was a good time to step up. I was in the council a few years ago, about 3.5 years ago, and the opportunity came up to run for mayor. I was asked by many people, and I still get phone calls from all kinds of people asking me questions. So I love this town. I love the people in this town, and I want to see participation once again with the citizens.
Next up, we have Sydney Washburn.
Hi, I'm Sydney Washburn, born and raised here in Junction City. My ancestors go back many, many years in this town. I am currently on the Budget Committee. I would like to work for you, people of Junction City, and do the very best job I could do and make you very proud of our town.
We're having a little bit of difficulty with audio, so if you could speak up a little bit, that would be wonderful. Thank you. You have about 30 more seconds if you're okay. Next up, we have Darren Olson.
Well, it's an honor to be here tonight. I retired from the Army after 22 years, 6 years ago, and came right here to Junction City. I'm a 58 with an 8-year-old, so I'm living the dream here in Junction City. After being in the military for so long, it's nice to be able to live the white picket fence life, at least for a while. And Junction City, we have it all. We have the foothills, we have the ocean, we have the mountains, we have the flatland, we have a little bit of the desert if you want to go a little bit farther. We've got close universities and community colleges, pretty close. It just doesn't get any better, and I just want to make sure Junction City stays that way.
Okay, so we are going to start questions soon. One thing I did not cover is we have taken every precaution as far as COVID to make sure that everybody is 6 feet apart. We have sanitized all of the equipment that we're using. All their pins have been sanitized. They all have fresh water that's been sanitized beforehand. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. The candidates are not wearing masks right now just because we want to make sure that you're able to hear them, and that's why they are 6 feet apart. I'm going to hand it back over to David. He's going to start with our questions.
Boy.
All right, so Junction City is one of the fastest growing communities in Oregon, primarily because of development on the west side of 10. Where do you see the community in 10 years? Do you support any changes or restrictions to further growth or construction?
We're going to start with John Gamby.
10 years from now, I think it would be amazing if our city had grown. I think there's great opportunity out here for growth. We have a great city. We have a lot to offer. Our city right now is at a spot where we're very close to attracting another level of business to our town. So I would love to see our city grow up to 10 or 12,000 in the next 10 years. Right now we're pushing 7,500. When the 300 houses come in over there and the 180 apartments get filled out on 18th, we're going to go up about 1,000 just from that. But I'm for growth up to, I've said over the 4 years I've been in city council, I said I'd love to see us at 15 to 20,000 at some point.
Thank you, John. We're going to move over to Ken Wells.
I think the opportunity for growth is abounded in this area, but we want to make sure that in the next 10 years or next 20 years, we do it right. And by that I mean we have proper planning. We make sure that our streets, our schools, all the public services that our citizens expect, that we're able to provide those along with the growth. But to grow for residents, we're also going to need to grow downtown. We're going to need additional businesses because we're going to attract more people. So there again, we have to, as a city, we need to be out there working to attract the new businesses so that they are there for the new growth that can support it.
We're now going to go over to Karen Leach.
That's an excellent question, and I was talking to someone yesterday, and we were discussing the percentage rate of how fast this town is growing, and it's like 3 to 5% in the next 2 or 3 years. I think we need really good planning. We need to be ready. We need to be proactive with the decisions that the city makes for new people. Our city services need to be ready for this many people. I am for pro-growth. I'm also very, very pro-business. And I want to I think we would be able to grow at this rate and still keep the small town feel. I think that is so important. I guess that's all I have.
Now we're going to run over to Sydney Washburn.
I'm also for growth, but for the same line of Karen, I think we need to have everything set in place. So when we do grow, we're set up for everything, so we're not backpedaling to try and catch up with everything that we need. The streets, the sewer, the water, the schools. We've got to look at that before I think we get too big, before we're trying to catch up, and it's a lot harder to catch up than it is to go forward.
Thank you, Sydney. Now we're going to run over to Darren Olson.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take that long to get to 10,000. I can see just 2 to 3 years to get to 10,000 because of all the new houses that have gone in. Again, I think of the infrastructure, and I'm more of I hate to say a snail's pace, but I think we have to make sure the infrastructure is all there so people don't get frustrated once their house is built and then don't have the plumbing for it. I also think about Highway 99 coming through, and right now you can't hardly make a left-hand turn coming out of at different times, so I think we also have to think about that just a little bit. I also think about the budgets, and I want to make sure that we don't overspend. I'm definitely conservative financially, and I want to pay our bills as we go.
Okay, David, our next question, please.
You told me not to cheat and look. All right, so here's the question. Do you believe that Junction City's government is currently working well, and what changes would you prioritize if you're elected?
And we're going to start tonight with Darren Olson. Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I've sat in on quite a few of the meetings. I think they all look pretty good. It seems like each one of them comes with a little bit different perspective on the issues, and I think that's good. Seem to work pretty smoothly. Many of them really seem to want to listen to the people and don't come with preconceived ideas. So yeah, I think they're working pretty good.
And now we're going to move over to Sydney Washburn.
I feel that as a council member, we need to listen to the people more than what's being done today and ask their opinion and really go with that. And I'd like to see more people show up to council meetings or when we're doing a virtual call in and ask questions. That's the only thing I feel we're going to get more things done by having more participation.
Karen Leach.
Okay, I think my main concern, I've been to several council meetings in the last couple of years, and my main concern is oftentimes the questions asked by the public, they're asked and they are not answered. That really, really bothers me. I like to see audience participation. I like to see lots of people there. And I think that what's lacking is a welcoming effect and a welcoming effect by the counselors. I feel that that's lacking. I don't know why, but that really, really bothers me. And I think that that needs to be changed. I think people oftentimes are afraid to go to the meetings and express concerns, and that I want changed.
Now we're going to move over to Ken Wells.
Just to follow up on both some comments that Karen made and Sid made, because I see it from the same point of view. I think city government right now, they are doing the best job they can. But what, and we have, a good city. But we have to respect the viewpoints of our citizens, and we need to treat them with respect when they come to a council meeting or other public meetings and ask questions and get responses. Not only that, but the city administration needs to be getting back to those people, address their questions, and not shovel it off for other times. And I think one way this could be helped is we could have more citizen involvements on the standing committees, like Public Works, Community Development. There should be as many public members on those committees as there are councilors. Thank you.
Now we're moving on to John Gamby.
Well, those are good thoughts. I'm going to take a minute and just say I don't support like 4 or 5 or 7 or 10 people like making a master plan that the whole city has to abide by. I'm more of a free enterprise guy. I support individual people, individual property owners, individual families making decisions, and I believe that most people make good decisions, and the combination of all those good decisions is a good city. I don't believe it's a top-down thing like Mayor Crenshaw makes an edict and we all fall in line with Mayor Crenshaw and that makes our city good. No, I think our city's good because a lot of people are making great decisions in our town. And so, does that mean we disagree sometimes? Well, sure, that's part of a healthy process, but I don't necessarily support the top-down version of planning and everybody has to do it a certain way. I think Junction City is full of great people making good decisions and that will continue to make our city awesome. I do agree that we need a lot more participation.
Thank you, John. We have our next question tonight, David.
All right. Given the recent emergency closure of the Junction City Assisted Living Home and the 2018 arson of the building at 691 Ivy Street, should Junction City do more to regulate local businesses to ensure that they operate in a safe and legal manner? If so, how?
And John, we're going to start with you tonight. Sorry.
I'm sorry to them. So, you know, wherever you stand on this is wherever you stand. Where I stand is this. There is so much regulation right now. There is stacks and stacks of regulation in all the industries of our country, from nonprofits to business to universities to schools. People are going to do things wrong. That's part of living in a free society, and those people need to be held accountable for doing things wrong. But we do not need more regulation to police the rest of us. We need to hold the people that do stuff wrong accountable and let them be accountable to the existing laws, not pile on more paperwork.
Thank you, John. We're going to move over to Ken Wells.
As a city, I think we need to follow the rules and regulations and the laws that we have on the books and enforce those so that these issues don't happen. One of the part of this question, you brought up the burnt-out building downtown. Well, there's statutes on the book, and we as a city did not enforce them in a time manner that it should have been. And as you all know, this has been a several-year issue and complaint. So I think we need, like I said, follow up with the rules. The senior center, or the citizen center of the older people, there's probably, they say it's been a long-range investigation. And maybe it was the way it was about, or maybe they've done everything they can. But it was kind of sad when I saw in today's news that the lady's going to be released because the district attorney wants to do further investigations.
Thank you, Ken. We're going to move over now to Karen Leach.
The idea of the burnout building, I think that's been going on for probably going on 3 years now. And I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and he had an excellent idea of how to take care of the burnout building and how the city could help. I know that Gary Capping, Public Works Director, has been pulling out his hair and working, in my opinion, very hard to take care of this matter. Insurance at any level is a pain in the neck, but with arson, it's terrible. But the gentleman suggested this. He said, why doesn't Public Works buy some plywood, go to that burnout building, put some plywood, cover it up, and paint it. Maybe somebody that's talented has some Euro talent that they could do. And it would at least eliminate the burnout, cruddy look.
Thank you, Karen. We're going to now run over to Sydney Washburn.
First off, on the burned out building, that is probably still in litigation through the insurance company, and everybody knows how long that will take. It could take for a long time. Secondly, right now, we have a new member on the fire department in Junction City that is going out and doing fire inspections on buildings to make sure they are up to code and meet standards that they have to in today's society. We have to take care of our seniors in this town and make them feel safe and wanted.
Thank you, Sydney. I'm now going to run over here to Darren Olson.
Yeah, well, the question is on the boarding house, I believe. Was that the original question that I understood, that you said?
No, the original question has, given the recent closure of the Junction City Assisted Living Home and the 2018 arson of the building at Ivy Street.
Yep. Yeah, obviously that should have been taken care of quite a long time ago. I think that's, I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Darren. All right, we're going to pull another question. David?
So, what do you believe are the 3 greatest strengths of Junction City?
And we're going to start that question with Darren. Go ahead, Darren.
Number one, as far as Junction City, this is an outdoorsman's paradise right around here. I think Junction City still has a small town feel to it, and I definitely like that. I enjoy that it's quiet at night for the most part, and as far as city council, I like the fact that they have decided not to go into debt and they pay their bills.
Thank you, Darren. We're going to run over to Sydney Washburn.
One of our major strengths is we do have the quality people that want to be here, that we take care of our football team like there's no tomorrow, being an old habit. We really love that. We love the sports that goes on in town, and everybody stands behind it 100%. And we're so centrally located, to go anywhere you want to go, to the mountains, the coast, in a short time.
Thank you, Sydney. Karen?
And I think one of the greatest things about Junction City is the small town feel. The other thing is that how people are so anxious to volunteer. They're so anxious to help. And I think the city has an opportunity to take full advantage of that, and they have. There are talented people, there are grant writers, I can't even think of all the people that are so talented out there and so willing to volunteer. And I think that that is a great asset for the city.
Thank you, Karen. Ken?
First of all, I'd like to say it's definitely the people, but it's not just the people that live in Junction City. It's the people that live outside the city limits, that still in the 97448 zip code, that are involved in the support of that land, developing the land. Like Sid said, his family's been here forever. It's those people that have been here that have really helped set the stage for what we have today. Then it's the pride of those people in our community and what they will do to make it grow and excel. And to be able to do that, they have to have energy and stamina, and they do. So I say it's people, pride, and energy.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Ken. John?
I think that's very appropriate because PPE is on the news everywhere right now. You've been very good with that. I wonder if you have that question in advance, Karen. That answer was very good. I think they've spoken well. I agree. Those are all the great attributes. I love that there's a mix of churches in town. I love that the people are here. I love JCA. I think that's a wonderful organization. Just to name one, I think Coach Rothenberger is an amazing representative of our town. He's been doing what he's doing at a high level for 40 years. Tremendous. So we can go on and on. There's tons of stuff.
Thank you, John. Okay, we have another question. David?
So do you think...
I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Sid, you had something else.
I do. A lot of people look every year in August to come back to the Scandinavian Festival to see the dancers and all the food they can get. If we get to do it, hopefully next year we can. And it's been a long-running tradition.
That's the kids always, it's a big deal when they all get back together and visit. Scandinavian Festival is huge. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you, John, for catching that for me. David, our next question.
So do you think our Main Street and downtown is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change that?
John, we're going to give that to you first.
So that's an excellent question, and just to kind of keep it brief, I'm going to go back to what I said before. I mean, can there be improvements? Absolutely. Main Street, but here's the thing, that improvement has to come from individual property owners. A great example, I mean, there's great examples all over town of people that are improving their property. And I don't think our government should be so restricted that it makes it so hard for those people to do that. There's also great organizations in town that are trying to help. Energize Junction City was a great organization. It did a huge improvement on the corner of 6th and Ivy there a few years ago. Tons of volunteers helped with that. But I think we have to kind of let go of the idea that the heart of the town has to be in a certain place, and we have to let the business pull it where it is. If the heart of town's going to be 99, then that's great. If business wants to redevelop downtown, but I don't think the city should be spending a bunch of money trying to make it in a certain place.
Thank you, John. We're going to move over to Ken Wells.
I think this question follows up with the very first one we had about asking about Junction City in the next 10 years. And I think that it's got to go back to planning and developing and looking ahead to the future. What do we as citizens, along with the city government, want our downtown to develop into, look like, and be? How can we encourage new businesses to come in? What improvements do we need to make to our streets? How can we have maybe businesses downtown that support the local businesses that are outside the city limits and bring in, people say farmers market, people say a wine and cheese shop. There's all kinds of things that we could do. But this takes planning, it takes money, but the most of all, it takes the desire, and I think we have all of that.
Karen?
I think as far as downtown goes, I believe our past planner, George Carver, had developed a downtown plan. I think when there was work done by Public Works on the sidewalks, infrastructure was put in for water and streetlights, electricity. And I think that, as Kim said, as our town grows in 10 years, I don't think it's going to be that long, we need to be ready to grow with it. And downtown is important. I do think that we need to follow through with downtown. There's businesses also in Junction City that are not directly downtown, and that needs to be talked about and planned for, and that I'm really excited about. I would like to see that done.
Thank you, Karen. Sydney?
I remember downtown when I was growing a kid, there was an old 5 and dime. That's a long time ago. I think we should try and maybe reach out to other cities, other businesses, and see if they'd like to come to our town and see what they have to offer and really take a look at it and open it up that way. And like Kim said, I think, like they do in Corvallis, they have a wine night where they can walk through all the businesses and see the businesses. And I think that would be really a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I agree, sis. I really do. I think that it's just like the town is just waiting for, let's do it. I really do.
Thank you.
Darren?
Yeah, I'm probably on the other side of the tracks because I enjoy the quaintness of our downtown, and I just enjoy walking up and down there. I think we've got some just nice businesses there, and I like our downtown. I have a feeling as the city grows, some of those business questions will take care of themselves because you'll have other businesses that will start noticing Junction City, and instead of us having to go to them, I have a feeling some of those other businesses will start coming to us, just as a natural byproduct of steady growth.
Our next question, David?
All right. So what do you see as the biggest needs for Junction City in the next 2 years? And how would you address them?
Darren, we're gonna start with you.
Yeah, one of the things that I repeatedly hear is the water issue. I mean, just about every time, and I've talked to people, different people on that, and it seems like the bottom line is it's a long-term infrastructure project that's not going to happen overnight. And I mean, we're talking like 10 years, big project, and so I think that's what I hear over and over again. It is not going to be solved overnight. This is a long-term. Got to have a lot of planning. Going to take 5 to 10 years to get her done.
Thank you, Darren. Sydney?
I did a survey this morning and asked people what their 4 top questions were, what they want the city direction to go. Number 1 is the water. That's right off the bat. Number 2 was crime. We're running rapid with crime. People are losing stuff off their porches. We've had a neighbor that their little boy lost their bicycle off their porch that somebody stole. We want better policing. It needs to be done. And we need to get into fixing our roads so they're safe so people can drive on them without losing the front end on their car.
Thank you, Sydney. Karen?
I'm just trying to think. Water is huge. It's been huge. And I think that with the increase in the water bill, and it's going to go up again, and the sewer, and people are frustrated because they're not happy with the water. And I think, like Darren said, it's not going to be an easy fix. It's going to take a while. And I think that if they saw a plan, if they knew there was progress being made, I think they would understand, and that would help. I really do. And again, make your plan and work it, and that is so important. And to be very vocal with the public. Again, get the information out there so that they understand what's really going on. But water's huge. Yes.
Thank you. Ken?
When I first decided to run for city council, I had a few focus group meetings with some key leaders of our town and asked the same question. And Sid just gave some examples, and those are exactly the same examples I got from our leaders. And like everybody has said, and it's true, water, water, water. Okay? And this isn't something, like Darren said, it's not short term, it's long term. We need to work with the state. We need to check out every funding option we have, and we need to solve the problem. Okay? The second one is policing or public safety. And all I want to say on that is our police department, first and foremost, should take care of Junction City first. Not the University of Oregon, not the city of Monroe. We need to take care of our citizens. Then when we have that taken care of, we'll go forward. And the last is roads, as Karen said, but what I want to say is we need a long-term plan, and we need to work closely with Lane County, and we need to work closely with the state of Oregon, because they oversee some of the main roads in town.
Thank you. John Gamby?
With all due respect to the people that are here tonight, I'm going to call it out a little bit. So on the one hand, you say it's a long-term plan, it takes 10 years to fix the water, but then on the other hand, you complain about the roads and the police and the water. Not recognizing that in fact, there is long-term plans in place already to address the water, the roads, and the street. In 35 seconds, I can't let you know about all that, but you're welcome to look at the meeting notes from City Council, and you'll see that all those 3 things are being addressed in a long-term way, but I'll just point out the roads. We have franchise fees in our budget that are supposed to go towards the roads. Well, the City Council, prior to when I got elected a few years ago, I didn't change it, this was prior to me, City Council had taken all that money and allocated it to different things. Our current administration said this can't keep going on, and so every year they're returning 10% of that funds back to the road fund. And it's increasing every year. Now, if you don't have the money because it's going to all these other programs, you can't fix the roads. But they have made that step. It's a process. I think we're up to 30% of the money is now going back to the roads where it's supposed to be instead of to the library or to the pool or whatever else it was taking it. But I think it would behoove people that want to be on city council to acknowledge that they didn't invent the wheel, and there is a wheel rolling along, and it's not a bad wheel. I don't think it helps anybody if we just always say, oh, the wheel's bad, the wheel's bad, the wheel's bad.
Thank you, John. Our next question, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Ken. Thank
I
you.
just wanted to add that it may be true the city may be doing this, but they sure as heck can do a better job communicating that to all of our citizens. I attend meetings, and I don't always hear it, and from the feedback we're getting from our citizens, I don't think they are either.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Okay. Open up your water bill and read the notice. I'm just like the rest of the people watching. Most of us don't watch it or read it, the notice that comes from the city. But if we don't read the notice, we can't complain that they're not communicating with us. You got to be willing to open up your power bill and read the notice that the Public Works is trying to put in there every month. And if you're not willing to do that, you can't really say, oh, they don't communicate.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I guess I will add, communication is huge. Vocally at a council meeting is huge. People come and they want to hear that. Oftentimes, when they get their bill, they're hurrying up, they don't read it. But when they hear it, they know, they understand.
So we're going to move on to the next question. Go ahead, David.
All right.
We're going to start with you, John, just so you know.
So what would you do? See, I've read this question, I want to ask it differently, but I'm going to read it just like it says, and then I might alter it. So what would you do differently, if anything, to address the housing crisis in Junction City?
That's almost impossible for us to address at a local level because the state has shackled us. In so many ways, the state level of regulation that's over the development, over the infrastructure, over the building, it's virtually impossible to speed up that process. I think right now, the attitude in the room is pro-growth, and that helps a lot. That's why Junction City is leading the state in growth at 3 to 5% a year. That's awesome, but that's a huge first step, and that will continue to help it grow. Housing is a supply and demand thing. If you have a demand, you have to be able to meet it with the supply, or the prices are going to continue to go up. And people are trying to build houses out here. That will help address the supply, and hopefully the price then can start to taper off or drop.
Thank you, John. Ken?
I want to follow up with all the excellent points that John made. And it is true, the state, with the rules they put on, our urban growth boundaries, etc., it does limit things. But also, we have great need of people coming out here because there are not as many places available in Eugene or other areas, so they move out here. And supply and demand is true. It used to be a house that would cost, you could get a nice home for under $200,000. Now you can't hardly get anything. So it's something that it's going to take a lot of thought, but I don't know if it can be solved.
Karen?
Boy, that's tough. It's really tough. I know with the reserve, the part 2, and the other things that are going in at the end of 6th and 10th, and on 18th, I think when it's all figured out, there'll be almost 600 doors. So that will help. There'll be townhouses, there'll be apartments, and there'll be houses. And with that, hopefully the prices will go down. And Kim's right, the state shackles the city, and it makes it really, really hard to do anything. And it's a tough one. It can be solved, and it can be worked on.
Thank you, Karen. Sid?
That is a very tough question. With the regulations that the federal government has put on housing and everything else, it's really hard to try and keep your head against the wall to figure out what they want, what they're going to change in the middle of the stream, because I've seen it before. I think we're getting a lot more people moving to Junction City because they want to be out in the suburbs. They like it out here. They want to be able to hear the birds. And I think that's one of the biggest things for Junction City.
Thank
They
you.
want a small town, like Darren said, the picket fence.
Yeah.
They love that.
I guess I would come at it, again, like John said, supply and demand. There are many places you can live. You can live in Monroe, you can live in Harrisburg, you can live in Coburn, you can drive up to Brownsville. Junction City is not the only place to live. And I kind of think I'd rather slow it down a little bit and really make sure in the long run we have a quality town with quality people. I think I'd better leave it at that before I get myself in trouble.
All right, we're going to have our next question, David.
All right. What will each candidate do to bring about transparency in the city?
We're going to start with you, Darren.
Yeah, that's one of the things. It's the city council. What I have seen is many times they're asking people to come to the council meetings. And what I would like to see the whole leadership, the police, city council, the mayor, actually go out regularly into Junction City. We've had Burgers with Bob 2 or 3 years ago, and that was a great hit, and I think if the leadership could go out into the community and actually have more of eye-to-eye, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and really talk to people eye-to-eye, go to where the people are, instead of having the people come just to the city council meetings.
Thank you, Darren. Sydney?
I'm very open to sit down with anybody that wants to talk about anything. That's the way you learn what people are interested in, so you can take it back to the council and say, this is what the people want. So everybody knows what's going on instead of just, because it's been very hard with this virtual deal. You can't go into the council meeting and do much of anything. And I'm very open to sitting down with people on that subject.
Thank you, Sydney. Karen?
I agree with Darren 100%. When I went around to get my signatures, I was shocked and amazed. People had no idea who the mayor was. They had no idea who the councilors were. And I was like, that's terrible. This town is big enough now, over 6,000 people, 7,000 people. The people should know who the councilors are and who the mayor is. I agree, the council, the mayor needs to be out there with the people. Don't make it a forbidding thing. People are scared to death to come to the council meeting. It's something out of their realm. They don't understand it. It's like, oh, I'm not going to go up there and say anything. Going out to the people, have some sort of an event at the park or the community center or something where people can meet the councilors, have a cup of coffee, or a Pepsi, and talk and be able to say, this is my concern. I am really worried about this. Can we fix this? Is there something we can do? I just think that is huge, and I think that's a huge role for the mayor.
Ken?
When we moved here 10 years ago from the Eugene area, one of the things that surprised us the most and was really pleasing was the community meetings the police department had in each of their wards.
Yes.
And you got to know who the officer was or officers who patrolled your area, and they got to know the citizens. And I can remember that every night you'd see twice that in the evening, police officers driving through the subdivision looking for things. So that's a great way. I totally agree with what everybody said so far about getting out and this council, but I also think that if the police, if the city council if the city administrator, maybe they need to go and speak to some of our social organizations, in a Lions Club meeting, a Seroptimus Club meeting, a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and get their phases out, and get on a one-on-one, and they're not asking for something, basically they're to give something, give of the city to the citizens.
Thank you, Ken. John?
I think people have, those are a lot of great ideas. So I tip my hat to you and have nothing more to add.
Thank
I would
you.
like to add
Yes.
that your job as a counselor and a mayor, you're hired by the people. So I feel like you need to make yourself known. It's just a huge thing for me. It's really important.
Anybody else? Our next question, and John, we'll start with you.
So how do you feel a citizen complaint should be handled?
That's a good question. Maybe, do we know how many people are watching this right now?
35 on my phone.
Nice, 35. So that's a good start. That's 1% of Junction City. That's a great place to start. So, or maybe 0.5%. But anyways, if 35 people knew the process, then probably tomorrow 105 people would know it. I mean, there is a process. It is not making a post on Facebook. That is not the process. Now, that's a great way to get a lot of people some information, and hats off to you for getting information out there. But the process is you go to the city office, or you email the city office, or you call the city office, and you talk to one of the nice staff over there, and you put your name on a piece of paper on an email, and you formally start a process. And I think if people knew that that was the way to start the process rather than post on Facebook, a lot more would get done.
Thank you, John. Ken?
I think maybe the reason we see some of those comments on Facebook is our citizens have followed the regulations, the rules, and done it, and they never got any feedback, or it wasn't handled that they felt in the right way. And I'm not saying it was right or wrong, they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that might be where it's coming from. But I think it's important that whoever is handling, whether it be a department head, whether it be the city administrator, or whether it just be a question that comes to the council, at a city council meeting under, things not on the agenda, our citizens need to be answered, need to be answered in a timely manner. And those complaints need to be followed up on per statute or law or whatever it is, so it doesn't look like they're being swept under the rug. And so it's just good follow through with our citizens.
Thank you, Ken. Karen?
Boy, the complaint deal that's hard. People don't realize, they don't understand the written complaint, and when they do figure it out, they don't, like Ken said, they don't feel like the complaint is being taken care of or answered. I would like to see some sort of maybe a committee, maybe a council, at a work session, that the complaints we have 15 complaints this month. Let's work on those, or every 3 months. But we need to deal with every single one of them, because they've hired us to take care of them and their problems. And I get phone calls almost every day from people about their complaints not being taken care of. When they do, they write it, they send it in, they make sure that the city hall has it, and they just feel like nothing has been done.
Sydney?
Complaints need to be answered as soon as possible. And if you have to have the person come in to the city hall to sit down and explain the process, then that's the way it should be done. But some complaints should not be checked into by our own city. Some of those complaints may need to be put out to an outside entity to get a biased answer on the whole complaint. Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney. Darren?
Yeah, first thing that comes to mind is there are always two sides to the story. And when someone gives a complaint, many times they're only showing their side of the story, and then when the situation actually is revealed, it's like a lot of red faces. Oh, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that. You did this. And I guess I just, probably in the minority, I believe, I trust that our leadership is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Again, there's always loopholes, there are always people falling through the crack, but I guess I've just seen so often there's people complain, but they're not showing the whole story of what was going on.
Thank you.
I agree, I do agree, but I think that they should be dealt with. It should be explained to the person that's complaining. You know, whether they're right or they're wrong. You can address something in a very friendly, nice way and say, you know, darn it, you forgot to tell us this. But it needs to be dealt with.
Ken?
And then, kind of what Sid said and John said, sometimes there is an investigation, and it's going to take some time. They need to at least follow up with that citizen and say, you know, we haven't resolved it yet. We're doing an investigation. We're looking into it. Once we get, at least communicate with the people when you can. I think that would help this.
Yeah, I agree.
John?
I'm going to shed a little light on a particular thing, just for a minute. So, somebody gave a complaint, we read all about it on Facebook, and then the police chief showed me the actual video of the incident that the person was complaining about. And despite the fact that there was paragraph and paragraph and paragraph on Facebook about how this incident played out, I watched with my own eyes the video, and it simply wasn't true. So sometimes people that are willing to put paragraph and paragraph and paragraph on Facebook, maybe they got their answer, and they're calling Karen, but they already got their answer, and they're just calling her and calling her and calling her, but that doesn't mean it wasn't resolved. So we have a process. I think the process is pretty good. I've been in city council for 4 years. I don't see hundreds of people coming into the city council meeting with their complaints. I see a few, and I'm glad they come. But I'm not sure there's hundreds and hundreds of complaints out there that are just getting swept under the rug or disregarded.
Thank you. So we're going to go to our next question.
So this changes the tenor of the room here.
Okay.
Because we went from complaints, but if you could change one thing about our current zoning codes, what would it be and why?
Darren, we're going to start with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'll just be right up front. I like single family homes. I would rather see more single family homes. I think that promotes a healthier society, and I would just rather see more single family homes.
Sid?
That's a tough one, and I gotta agree with Darren on that. More single-family homes, because that's the reason, like Darren came out here with his family, he loves it out here, he wants to raise his family out here where you don't have the hustle and bustle like you do in the big city, where you can walk down the street with your children, your wife, whatever, and just have a good time. You know your neighbors.
Thank you. Karen?
How you would handle the zoning here? Is that the question?
That's-
That could be
yes.
business, commercial, it could be all kinds of things.
That was the question. I read it just like it was written.
Well, by golly.
What would you change about the zoning?
What would I change about the zoning in Junction City? Boy, oh boy. I would have to admit that I do like single-family homes. I think that we're going to have several apartments and townhouses. Boy, I don't know how I would change the zoning in Junction City. I guess you'd have to take it one thing at a time, one issue at a time. You can't do it like that.
Thanks, Karen.
That's a political term.
Okay. Ken?
One of the many things I learned since being on the planning commission is there are a lot of rules and regulations, but we don't set them in Junction City. Those percentages are set by the state of Oregon. And whether we want more single homes, there's only a percentage of the open land that can be zoned that way per the state. So maybe our starting point would be with our state representatives and our state senators and start working with them on how can we look at land use in the state of Oregon, because it's not just a problem in Junction City, it's a problem in every community in our state.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the individual and the collective individual actions create a great society. You know, our the lady who put this on tonight, Kathy Campbell, she's standing here. She came to City Council many times to advocate for a certain kind of housing in certain developments in town to improve the lives of individual families. Like Darren pointed out, good families make good societies, happy homes make happy communities, and so absolutely we have to participate. I've seen so many times governing bodies change their tune when the room is full of people. So many times. And I've seen so many times governing bodies, be that senators, legislators, Oregon House of Representatives, not change a lick when the chamber is empty. So the way to do what Ken's suggestion, which I think is absolutely right, is participate. We need hundreds and thousands of people participating where government happens, on all the levels of government. And if we do that, eventually our voices are heard and the improvement happens.
Thank you. We have one more question that we're going to ask, and then each candidate in the room will have about 2 minutes as a wrap-up if you need it. John, we're going to start with you. Go ahead.
So here's the question. Please complete this sentence. It's not really a question. Junction City Council members and mayors should
be given a vote of thanks for participating in the process and dedicating hundreds and hundreds of hours over years and years of time. The gentlemen in these rooms that have been on planning committees and budget committees, you know, the budget committee alone is like a 50-hour commitment, just that one thing. And is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Any house has a room for improvement, absolutely. But so much gratitude should be given these. I'd extend that to the staff and the administrator of our city, the chief and the department heads. These guys work hard. They work on budget. Councilor Bill DeMarco frequently jokes, we are hired by the people, but they actually don't pay us anything, and that's fine in the little town. But I just say thanks. I say thanks to all the people that participate in the process.
Thank you, John. Ken?
I think elected people need to listen and support the people that elected them into office. I think they need to attend all functions that they're expected to, arrive on time, read your materials, make sure you speak your mind and present what you're asked to discuss. You need to work not only in your community, but the council needs to be involved with the school district, which needs to be involved with the Chamber of Commerce, because it takes all of us working together to be successful. But also where we should work with Lane County, we should work with the state when we need their help. So I mean, if we need to go to a League of Oregon Cities meeting, send our mayor, send our councilors. We need to involve what's going on statewide, not only in what's going on in Junction City or Lane County, but our entire state.
Thank you. Karen?
Read the question one more time, would you please?
Not sure where I set it down. Okay. All right. Complete the sentence. Junction City Council or Mayor should.
I think probably give a lot more attention in meetings to the audience. I think that they should show a lot more respect for their members and for the audience. I think that is one of the biggest things for me. I think that they have an opportunity that they shouldn't pass up with the audience, with the people of the city. I think Ken's absolutely right. I would love to see and would certainly encourage communication with our state representatives, communication with our commissioners. We need to know what the county can do for us. We need to know what the state can do for us. There's complaints from people about traffic on 99 and, in town on I-80. That's a state road, and we need to find out from the state what they can do to help us. So,
Thank you.
I guess basically it's just communication once again.
Thank you, Karen. Sydney?
The council members and the mayor are there to work for the people. And I don't ask for a pat on the back for anything I do. I enjoy what I do 100%. And when I put my mind to it, I give it 110% easily. And I'm open for suggestions. I'm open for what anybody wants. If we have to have a town hall meeting to get people together and sit down and really discuss everything, then we should do that as the council for the city.
Thank you, Sydney. Darren?
Yeah, I would say the Junction City leadership, I'll just say leadership, the Junction City leadership should feel very proud of what they have done in making this, making Junction City a great town, with the prayer and hope that they will continue that great legacy into the future, because we definitely have some interesting times ahead of us.
Thank you so much. So now we are going to go to each of the candidates, and we're going to give you about 2 minutes if there's any wrap-up. You don't have to use the whole 2 minutes, but you do have 2 minutes. So we're going to start with you, Darren, for a wrap-up.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. Again, I have an 8-year-old daughter, so I feel like I have a dog in the fight here. Not that others don't, but that, one thing about being in the military for all those years, I've learned that you definitely have to listen, and you can't just jump in and do things, because there's all kinds of smart people with different views. So you definitely have to be able to listen to different views. Not only that, you have to be able to have a good relationship with other people, and because you're good-hearted people who want the best for Junction City will definitely sometimes see things differently. And so you just have to accept that and know they come at it with a good heart, and think about long-range planning, and go with the best choices that you have.
Thank you, Darren. Sydney?
First off, I'd like to say thank you for putting this on this evening. Hopefully people are listening and see what we look like, what our opinion is. I really feel the candidates that are here tonight are really here to show their support for the city and do the right thing for the city. And I would be very honored to be on the council.
Thank you, Sydney. Karen?
I couldn't have said it better, Sid. I think that the office of the mayor is so completely different than the council. I gave 110% when I was on the council, and I would continue to do so as mayor. I think we're hired by the citizens in their vote. They depend on us to represent them, and I will attend every meeting. I will attend every committee meeting, and I will ensure that people hear what we're saying. I'm just passionate about the city, passionate about the people in the city, and I want to see it work.
Thank you, Karen. Ken?
First of all, I just want to say thank you to Darren, and Sid, and Karen, and John for being here tonight. being willing to answer any question that's asked. And I think we've all learned a lot about each other and where we're coming from. I think that all of us know that hard work started when we decided we wanted to run, and that's when it just started. And for those that get elected, it's going to continue, but that's why we're here, because we truly care about our city and about our citizens. And again, thank you for David, Kathy, and your entire team that did this, and the people that are listening today and watching. It takes their support too. And we are here for you.
Thank you, Ken. John?
Well, I just want to take a couple minutes here and point out a couple things. Number one, I couldn't agree more with what people said. This is a great group of people here. I also think the people that aren't here are great people. You know, Councilor Stott, he's been on the council for many, many years. Then he was off for a while, then he got reelected. You know, he served our community in many ways. He helped better equip our police force in town. He was pivotal in helping to get them better equipment, better pay. So, and I can say the same about Bill DeMarco, Bev Feisig. I don't know Joshua Guth, but I know his dad's a great guy, so I assume Joshua's a great guy too. I mean, Bill DeMarco chaired our budget committee for over 10 years, and he and Dr. Rowe have helped make our city on budget. That's a tremendous thing. Our city gets awards every single year for the budgeting and accounting process. Like, that's phenomenal. The work that Gary Capping and the Public Works do is phenomenal. Obviously, there's some problems with water, but you should see Gary trying to solve that problem. He's not just sitting on his desk doing nothing. Him and Jeremy Tracer are working every day on solving that problem. And in the last year, they've done this huge revamp of the system, including adding a bunch of monitoring stations, changing where the water is drained, in order to try to flush the water better. So sometimes there can be a sentiment that, like, oh, they're just not doing anything. That could not be further than the truth for our staff. I have one more thing to say. A couple months ago, a young man overdosed on heroin on our front lawn. And we woke up in the middle of the night to the police and the paramedics in our front yard, saving this young man's life. We became aware of him because he was beating on the house next door, and then he came over and he crashed in the yard and he passed out. And the police came first off and they saved his life. Because they revived him, he started spitting and kissing, kicking and cussing at him. And the police and the paramedics responded with such grace while they were being spit at and kicked and cussed at. And they literally just saved this guy's life. And then, even though he's cussing at them, they treated him with respect. They got him into treatment. I was so grateful for the police that night. I was so grateful that even though I'm willing and able to defend myself and my family, I didn't have to because we have an awesome police force. So I'm going to end my thing by saying we have an awesome administration. We have an awesome public works. We have an awesome police force. We have an awesome budget guy. Nothing's perfect. But anybody who actually looks at the notes of the meetings over the last year and actually reads them and doesn't just sit on Facebook, but actually reads what's actually happening, we will see these guys working so hard. And I know I'm out of time, but we're still ending kind of early, so I'm going to just say that that's what I wanted to say. And I appreciate everybody participating. And I appreciate people watching, and I encourage you to come out. I know, but that being said, I want to say too, I know you're already participating in 100 ways in life, and I'm proud of you for that. We still need some participation where government happens.
Any follow-up or rebuttal?
I would just thank you so much for doing this, to get us out there, our faces out there. It's been really tough with this social distancing. We had plans to do things in the park and we weren't able to do it. So I can't tell you how much, this is wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I just want to end tonight asking these candidates took a lot of time out of their lives to be informative to our community. So I would just ask, share this live, attend those council meetings. I know that we are not able to go actually to the council meetings, but they are available online. Junction City website, you can look at the calendar. All of them are audio, so you can, I sat and listened to the last city council meeting that I wasn't able to attend and got some great information. Know that those things are there for you. Know that the jccandidates.com will be up and available through November 3rd, the day of the election. Once again, we did send questionnaires out to all the candidates. We will update those as we get those responses back. I think it's a great way for you to learn who our candidates are and why they're running, to be quite frank. I hope you enjoyed our evening tonight, and I hope I know we didn't get to all of the questions. We probably had 50 questions that were brought into us, but I would also just suggest reach out to these people and ask those questions in person or via Facebook. I mean, there are definitely ways to reach out and ask your questions personally to anybody here at the table. If you can't get a hold of them, leave us a message at JC Candidates, and we'll reach out to them for you. I really want to make sure that everybody does have a very informed vote come November 3rd. Lastly, I just want to thank David Bondurant for being our mediator today, offering us this facility, giving us the opportunity to hold this and still stay in a social distant facility. And I guess that's it. Like, share, follow, ask questions, reach out, be informed. Thank you and good night.